Okay, so today we're going to do lesson 3-2, measuring with a ruler. This is the parent help video for grade 3 everyday math. And for the vocabulary words, these are pretty familiar words to most of us, but it's good to review. So the first one is inch, okay, and I happen to have a ruler right here. And an inch is on a ruler just this long. Okay, it's not too long at all, just a small inch. Okay, well, an inch is the same size, but it's just a small unit of measurement. A line segment, okay, so a line segment, we could actually say this is a line segment here, put a couple of points on the end of it. It's just a piece, it's just a piece of a line, okay, so if this were extending it would be a longer line, but it's just a line segment, okay. Now, the other units of measurement we're going to look at are centimeters and millimeters, and I'm using a ruler that has both, so I just flipped it around. A centimeter is smaller than an inch. Okay, in fact we can fit about 2.5 centimeters in an inch, so it's that small right there. Okay, let's darken it a little bit so that it turns up better, and we'll darken this a little bit. Alright, so you can really see it. And now a millimeter is the tiniest one of all here, and it's only, you can fit 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So that's about as long as a millimeter is. It looks just like a tiny dot here. You can barely even hardly see it. Okay, and that's actually a little bit longer than I had intended. But it is a little bit hard to control. So this is our inch, centimeter, and our millimeter, and these are the abbreviations for those. Now in this lesson we're going to be practicing with a ruler. Okay, and what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to name the marks on a ruler that divide the inches into halves, into fourths, and into eighths. So what we're going to do actually is right here. I'm going to zoom in on this ruler. I'm going to just zoom in on one single inch. Okay, right here. Actually, let's do it up by the inch vocabulary. Even though you can't see it now, you will when I zoom out. So here we go. Whoops, right up here. Here is our inch that I'm going to draw. Okay. Now we can split this inch up into a number of parts. Okay, the first part that we're going to split it up into is halves. So this long line in the middle between 1 inch and 0 inches, so between 2 inches, is a half. So this is the half mark. And look, if I put a line through there, it divides that inch exactly into 1/2. So that's how we split the inch in a half. Now, we can split the inch into other things as well. Using this line, I can also come to these next lines halfway in between the beginning and halfway in between the end of the inch. Okay? And now my inch is split into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Okay? It's split into 4 parts, which means these are quarters. Alright? These become quarters. So this is, over here, 1/4. This is 2/4. So this half mark here is also 2/4. Alright? Because look, 1, 2 quarters, or 1 whole half. You guys see that? It's a little bit tricky to understand at first, so you got to make sure you're really paying attention up here. Okay? Make sure you really got your eyes up here so you can kind of see how this is working. Then we go 1, 2, 3, so this one's 3/4. Alright, 3/4, and this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/4, 4/4. Alright? Now, if we still look at this inch mark, we can split it up again. We can split it up again. Okay, if we go halfway between the quarter and the beginning, we're going to split it, and we go halfway between each of these. If we count these, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. Okay, so we just split this inch up into eighths. Okay, so we're going to say this is 1/8. Okay, where we have this quarter, look, it's 1, 2. It's 2/8. Okay, 3/8. And then over here, look, we're going to give this another name. This is going to be 4/8. Look at how many different ways we can call this one mark. Okay, is this making sense to you guys? Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. You have to practice with it, but this is how it works. Then we have 5/8. So if somebody asks you how big is 5/8 of an inch, well, you know it's just a little bit more than a half. You see that, where I got the 5/8 in there? Then look, this 3/4 here is going to equal 6/8. Okay, and then this next one is 7/8. And look, where there's 4/4 here, it's going to equal 8/8. Alright, because there's 8/8 there. So now it probably just looks like a pile of fractions on top of each other. Alright, but that's how you can split an inch up into those different parts. Okay, and I can separate it a little bit to make it a little more clear for you. Using the first inch I drew, I can split this inch into a half. Right, this inch is a half, is split in half. I can draw another inch here, and see, this is why I told you I would draw it by the inches, so you could kind of follow along a little bit. I can split this inch into quarters without everything all on top of each other. Here's a quarter, here's a quarter, here's a quarter. Okay, so you can kind of see how big a quarter of an inch is. So you can see a quarter of an inch, these are in quarters, is smaller than a halves of an inch. Right? Does that make sense? And then if I want to split it more, right, I'll draw another inch over here, and I'm going to split this one up into eighths. So I'm just following the marks on the ruler, which in this case is every other mark. Okay, and these are all split into eighths. Okay? So does that make sense, guys? Alright, very good. So it's a little bit tricky, but that's what we have to practice and know how to do. And so you want to use a ruler to be able to figure kind of this whole pile of fractions out. This whole pile of how that inch splits up. You want to kind of understand that on the ruler, and that's what we want you to know. Also, we want you to know which tools to pick out to measure things. So for example, if I said, please measure this cup of water, please measure this water, you're not going to use a ruler to do that. Right? Or please, how far do you think it is to Bangor? You're probably not going to tell me in rulers, right, in feet how far it is. You probably would use a different measurement like miles, right, or kilometers. So you have to be able to think of the right tool for the job, all right, and that's what we want you to do. And then we also want you to be able to measure things to the nearest inch, okay, to the nearest half inch, to the nearest quarter inch, to the nearest centimeter, to the nearest half centimeter, and to the nearest millimeter. And we're going to talk more about that in a separate lesson, because there are some key pieces that go with that I want to make sure you get. All right. So those are the basic key skills that we're looking at. As far as how parents can help with this at home, or how you can help with this at home, please have kids measuring things. Okay. Please use this vocabulary: inch, centimeter, millimeter, line segment, and have them measuring things at home. Okay, that will just give them some experience and will really help them get the concept of how big things are. Also, any other types of measurement that you can talk about, whether it's a car trip somewhere and how far you think it is, whether it's how much liquid you can fit in a certain container, okay, and talk about the units that go along with that. That will really help kids get the idea of how measurement works and what we use to measure things. Alright, so thank you for your help. This is lesson 3-2, the parent help video for grade 3 everyday math.